It's always good to take some time and sit down with you, Patrick Ewing. And first and foremost, everybody on social media and beyond just wants to make sure you're okay. I'm guessing you won whatever battle it was that you got in. What happened? How you doing?
Just old injuries of, 17 years of being an NBA player, just getting old.
There's a story behind this, too, from what I understand, because all goes back to Georgetown, right? From your playing days, this isn't the first time you've had a wrist procedure done. If you don't mind sharing, tell us the connection with the Hoyas and what happened.
Well, I broke, as a matter of fact, I broke this wrist. I was in the NBA, broke this wrist, Milwaukee versus Milwaukee, went up for an alley-oop, got undercut. And it so happens when I broke this one, I also hurt this one, but this one was just so severe that, Dr. Charlie Malone, a Hoya, I was told that my career was over, and he did the procedure, and I was one of the first to ever come back from that significant of an injury. So, he did this one as well, and I can't wait to get out of this cast.
Couple more weeks.
Couple more weeks.
But 27 years after that first surgery, right? Because this happened in the 90s.
Right.
He does this procedure.
He did this one as well. So he's one of the best hand surgeries to me in the country, and he did such a great job with this one that he had to do this one.
And people thought your career would be over.
Right.
When that happened.
Yeah, they did, but I proved them wrong. A lot of people have been doubting me for a lot of years, so it is what it is.
Ever since we started talking, the first time we talked was upstairs, and we talked about doubt. And people say all kinds of things and always have. And you have overcome different doubts and different things that this is nothing. I know how badly you want to win. What's the last year been like?
Last year's it was definitely difficult, frustrating. We were at a place where I never thought that we would be. We only won 6 games and we lost 21 in a row. The previous year, everybody had us picked second to last, and we shocked the world winning the Big East tournament championship. So coming off that high and then having this low, this type of low, it was hard to take. Being that even though I've never won a championship in the NBA, I've never lost that much in my life. So it was a tough year.
How did you try to take that type of aspect of this, that you'd never been down a road like this? How do you take it and say, I got to move off it?
Yeah, I had to. Every game, every practice, every game, all we talked about is the mistakes that we made, and then we have to move on. Have to get ready for the next game. We can't dwell on what happened in the past. We just got to, start focusing on the future, and that's all I've been doing. This year we've been focusing on rebuilding our roster, and then once the year starts, then rebuilding. What I think Georgetown basketball is all about. It's my goal to get it back to the level that Coach Thompson had it when we were here. And you can't do it without talent. Nothing against the guys that we had here. They tried their hardest, and unfortunately, most of the game we were right there in them to have opportunities to win, but we just didn't have enough to get over the hump.
You bring in a former LSU assistant, Kevin Nickelberry. What does he do for Georgetown basketball? Like I told him when he got here, we need better talent. So you got to go get your butt out there and recruit. You got to do what you do. We have to get better talent, more talented. So that's what he's been doing. We're still working. We're still, like Lee Reed always say, chopping wood. You make headlines this week because of the transfers that you've added. You had a Connecticut transfer and a Cook.
Right.
That's an intra-conference transfer in the Big East. Your thoughts on bringing a Cook in?
We try to recruit a Cook coming out of high school, and it was down between us and Connecticut, and he chose Connecticut. So when he went back into the portal,
we had to try to recruit him again. So I was very fortunate to get him this time. He's the type of foreman that I think would be great for the way we play. He can stretch the floor. He's a ultra competitive kid. He's gonna block shots. I'm looking forward to seeing all the pieces get together and then seeing what we can do on the floor.
Well, speaking of those pieces, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that backcourt play has been a priority in the roster additions that you've made, and a trio in Brandon Murray, in Jay Heath, and in Primo Spears. Just how excited are you knowing that you've got a bunch of guards coming into this program?
I'm very excited to see, us get, like I said before, us getting on the floor. We had some very good transfer players. We have a young man coming from high school who, I expect to have a great career here in Denver, England. So all of these upperclassmen, Denver coming from high school, who has the ability, he's an elite shooter. So from New Jersey. So I'm expecting for our backcourt to be one of the best backcourt in the conference.
When you think about the current state of college basketball, it's different from what it was in the 1980s when you were lacing them up for the Hoyas. Just this morning, the transfer count finalized at 1,599.
Hey, it's definitely different. When you look at one, transferring in the Big East, that's in my years or my days, that would have never happened when I was playing.
There would have been more casts.
Yeah, a lot more. And then, the transfer being that high, usually, some, kids would transfer, not every now and then. But when you have to sit out an entire year, that made it difficult for them to transfer. So, in some respects, it's good, but in some, it's bad. You have that many kids in the portal, and there's not going to be that many opportunities for them. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of tweak they'll do to it going forward.
How do you view name, image, and likeness?
And that's another thing. It'll be interesting to see what is going to be like going forward. I think it's great that these kids can, make money off their name. I think that it's great. But when you read about the numbers that they're getting, I don't know if it's being inflated or if it's really true. But I think it's great that these kids can make a living off their name, have some type of compensation off their name.
If you could have back in the day, what would you have done?
I don't know what my numbers would have been because back then, I was the number one recruit coming out of high school.
Sure.
When I left college, I was just still drafted number one. So it would have been up there. It'd be mind-boggling.
I think about this because you talked about it at the end of this past season, and you know what's out there. People out there who say, well, maybe Patrick Ewing will quit. Maybe he'll step away.
Quit? I'm not a quitter. The year we won it, I would always talk about that Drake song, Started from the Bottom. So, last year we didn't do our part in terms of they had us ranked second to last. I think it was our last, whatever it was. We ended up last. So we're at the bottom. There's only one way to go. That's up. If anybody knows me, I'm not the type of person that's gonna stop grinding, that's gonna stop working and start saying, "Woe is me." It's all about putting on my hard hat, my steel toe boots, and go out there beating the bushes trying to rebuild my program. I'm the head of Georgetown basketball right now, and with the way that things happened last year, it can never happen again on my watch.
What do you say to what is a passionate fan base that we have seen when things start to go in that direction, it's reflected. It's reflected on Georgetown basketball. It's reflected on network television, Fox, CBS, whatever it might be. Georgetown basketball, when it's good for college basketball. And I know your fan base and what they feel. What do you say to your fans heading into the 2022-23 season?
You know, we're going to have a lot of new faces. It's going to take a little time for us to gel, but once we gel, the sky's the limit.